A little disclaimer before we get rolling here. You're about to hear some ads. They are all from local entities that want to support the baseball community. A lot of these guys have deep connections. We're players themselves, so if you see having a need for any one of these services, please go patronize these guys. Thank you. We are also brought to you by Jason Knoedler and the Bank of Springfield. They have a whole baseball team over there. I'm talking Jason Knoedler, Justin Knoedler, Timmy Ballin Wallen, Eric Weaver, Ryan Murphy, Greg Morantz, Murph Mathiet, Frank Stefano. I trust these guys. I respect these guys. Go see them for all your banking needs. Bank boldly with BOS. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you. We are also brought to you by Jared Washko of Washko Strength and Speed, located at 3604 North Peoria Road, 217-899-3233, WashcoStrengthandSpeed.com. I think Jared is the premier trainer for youth athletics in the Springfield area, specifically baseball and softball. He is on it, from his training modalities to his throwing programs to speed to getting stronger to getting faster. The proof is in the pudding. Jared cranks out athletes at high levels that go on to the collegiate levels. Go see Jared for all your strength and speed needs. We are also brought to you by Josh Badman of Radon Fighters. He can be reached at 217-823-9536. This is a great guy. He's my fellow firefighter. Use post-game spread as a code to save $25 on a radon inspection. If you're buying a home or just want peace of mind for radon in your house, please give Josh a call. He was a standout player at Morrisonville back in the day and then played at SCI for Coach Tor in the early 2000s. Go see Radon Fighters.
Yeah, obviously meant a ton to us, and right when he got done, it was something that he wanted to get into, and we had an opportunity to make that happen, and did. I mean, obviously for all those young men that were coming through our program at that time, to have somebody that had played professionally and played at the highest possible level, to show that, hey, I started here just like you are, and to get that knowledge base of what he had learned through pro ball and the ways to get better and things to look out for. And, obviously when you talk about his help with Ryan Aper, just, navigating what getting drafted is like, and how those things are going to go along. So he just did an awesome job for us, and, it filled a huge need at the time. And, obviously hated to see him go. Totally understood, life has its ways of moving on, and, so he loves what he's doing now, but, obviously I can't thank him enough for all that he ever did for our program and for our kids. And, it was a great opportunity to have that happen. That's one of the things that, if you kind of look back at the history of what we've done out of school, is it's almost always been, Lincoln Land people. And that's what that program has always been built on, from the opportunity that I was given. And so obviously when I get an opportunity to give those opportunities, I'd love to. And obviously Justin was a huge plus for us.
Love Bull.
Yeah, I can't thank him enough for everything he always did for me, in opening his arms and saying, hey, we'd love to have you help out here. And he did everything he could to just make sure that I had opportunities out there to make some money too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so he couldn't pay me as a coach. He could pay me through camps and things like that initially, but with having other coaches already on the staff, he went and found me something through the fitness center, and just. And I always thought, the original game plan was, okay, yeah, I'm going to train, I'm going to coach, I'm going to do lessons, and then maybe eventually, when Bull's ready to retire, I could take over the program. I mean, that was kind of a thought that I had, and I had no idea what that time horizon was like at the time, but I was just like, okay, Ann's very supportive. Yeah. We don't have children yet, and so I just thought, maybe I'll be a head coach someday, but. Hindsight, I don't know that I ever really would have wanted to be the head coach. Yeah. To be honest with you, I was a guy that actually preferred to do what I was doing, get in the trenches, get in the cage, get in and actually help develop players. I don't know. I mean, Bull was always a great organizer, man. All the trips to Florida and buses and true administrative type stuff. Yeah. That's not me, man. Yeah. So I'm just more of a skill guy. I want to be in the trenches and help these guys develop. And game day is game day, man. When it's game day, those competitive juices start flowing. And I used to yell at some kids sometime, and I'd go out there and yell at umpires and try to fire the kids up. But for what it was worth, I just wanted to help the kids get better.
I love it.
But,
speaking of helping people, we got some Mitch Tree stuff to go through.
yeah, I actually just talked to Mitch the other day, man. He called me, and he's down in Georgia doing his thing, but it was good to catch up with him, and he said that he had a little conversation with him.
Sounds like he's doing well. Married, I think he's got a kid on the way.
He does. He's going to be a dad. He's going to have a boy, too, is what
big boy stuff. Yeah, we were talking. I said, you better pick a baseball name.
I said, you lucky dog, man, having a boy first. I was like, we had a girl first, McKenna, and deep down, I think every guy wants to have a boy, and 100%. I'm glad we do have Brooks now. But my daughter is like an angel. She's the perfect child, so I would take 25 of them.
That's how I feel about my daughter too.
I mean, she really is.
I love her so much.
Brooks is to be determined on what direction that boy is going to go. But he's 3, and we're going through the potty training thing now. So, but anyway, yeah, good for him. I'm so happy for him that he's Allie's great. I actually told Mitch, I was like, well, when I need to find a member guest, I'm going to invite your wife before I invite you because she's a heck of a golfer.
And I quoted this as you are the Mr. Miyagi to his Karate Kid, and it's so true because you got a hold of him early. Like you started doing stuff with Mitch early.
Yeah, I want to say he was 12 or 13. I mean, he was already just a phenom young man. I mean, he was 13, but he looked like he was 17.
Right.
He was just strong, stronger than every other
Super
12
athlete.
and 13-year-old that I had seen.
Right. And
so
he had a humongous arm too.
Yeah,
right?
he had a cannon. Yeah, he had a hose. Just good build, good work ethic, great family. Lynn and Brook trees. I mean, we end up, spending a lot of time with the whole family during the summer as I coached the Statesmen. So,
all right, here we go. Some Mitch Tree stuff. Started working with Justin as a 13, 14-year-old about. I had just started catching. He started teaching me the fundamentals of catching and hitting. Coached my summer ball teams in high school and Statesmen. I've known JU for more than half my life now. He meant a ton to my career, having someone locally that I could lean on, that's been there, that's done it, that's knowledgeable in every aspect of the game is just so invaluable. Being able to call or text him after a bad game and him being willing to come after a bad game and throw me BP and work on something is just priceless. He goes, he spent extra time with me, and I'm forever grateful for that. I see him as a big brother, mentor, a great guy outside of baseball, leaned on him for baseball and life. I knew if I called Justin, he would always pick up and have some great advice for me. We still get together today and golf when I'm in town. I still look at him as a mentor, but we're friends now. It means a ton to the Springfield baseball community. Leaned on him a ton during the draft process. He set me up with his agent. He was there for me the whole way, led me through the whole process. And then I've got a really cool clip to play of Mitch here. And then if you want to talk some Mitch. This is Mitch Trees. JU always showed up.
Again, back to the draft stuff. I know I'd have scouts come to my games, and they'd be like, hey, can you take BP? Because our games were earlier, so we couldn't take BP before on the field or whatever, so they wouldn't see me hit on the field. So after our games got over at maybe 8 or 9 o'clock at night, they'd turn the lights on, and JU would come from whatever he was doing, and he would show up over there to throw me BP or just so I could hit for those guys. I mean, those are just some good stories. I mean, he's a great guy. Definitely meant a lot to development as a baseball player and as a man.
Pretty cool.
Man, you do form bonds with these kids that you spend a lot of time with, man. If you're doing a lot of lessons with them, you're getting to know them, you're getting to know their families, and but I'll do anything in the world for Mitch, but not just Mitch, but all the kids that I've had the opportunity and really been blessed to coach. I mean, so we've got guys that I coach that are working for the bank now too. I mean, and
cool.
I'll do anything in the world for any one of those kids. I always told them, it's like you guys have all got my number. You can text me, you can call me. You guys, you get caught in a bind and you need something, I'll be the first guy to to come bail you out, give you a ride, whatever the case may be. And so Mitch obviously with his talent and his skill, we did spend a ton of time together, and so there is a special bond there, and very proud of him, and Aper and all these guys. But getting to coach guys like Aper and Mitch, that's just awesome to be able to pass along what I could to those guys, having the skill set that they had. And it's fun to watch them kind of mature into grown men, and now Mitch is obviously married, and I went down to his wedding in Florida last fall. and yeah, he's going to be a daddy. And I just told him, I was like, hey, man, just don't be a stranger, man. You know, make sure he came, I gave him a hard time because he came home a few weeks ago and he didn't text me. I had to find out from Carter Pranger that he was
hurtful.
home. And but it was during the holidays.
Joking,
we were so busy, but
Sure.
if I can give him a hard time, you believe it, I'm going to. And so I always try to ruffle his feathers a little bit. But yeah, great young man, and I'll miss seeing him on a regular basis, but we'll stay in touch.
You've had impact on a lot of the baseball community here, man. So cool. I'd love to hear a little bit about, before we finish off with our baseball Q&A, just tell me a little bit about the family and working with BOS and what life is like these days for you.
Well, I tell you what. So yeah, 6 years of doing that grueling grind of all the stuff that we've talked about, and so our world came to a screeching halt. 2017. My dad passed away, and Ann and I had been trying to have a baby and get pregnant for a few years, and we actually finally got pregnant in 2017. And
right before he passed, right?
Yeah, and we were actually getting ready to tell everybody on Easter when he passed away, and so it was just kind of a surreal moment and big moment in my life. And I'd already started thinking, like, okay, now we're finally pregnant. I don't know that this coaching routine and
Tough lifestyle.
all the stuff, the lifestyle that I was living was gonna be able to keep going.
Can't be gone for 18 hours a day.
Exactly. And so I knew that changes were coming. I just didn't know that change was coming. And to lose your dad is just it's a gut punch, and miss him every single day.
Great man.
Think about him all the time, and he was my biggest fan. And so we've got this roller coaster of, hey, we're finally going to become parents. The pregnancy's solid. We had a few challenges along the way in that department, and so here we are. Having one of the coolest things ever. And then all of a sudden this happens, and so just a roller coaster of emotions. And it's like, well, lost my dad, but I'm going to become a dad, and I can't keep this routine that I'm doing, to earn a living, and part of it was my own doing. I just, couldn't say no, and I'm, just driving myself crazy doing all this stuff. But so it was time to have a conversation. It was time to have a conversation with my brother, and I told him, I said, hey, and I actually had some opportunity to go maybe do some other things. Some other people that I was training said, hey, have you ever thought, would you like to become a sales rep, or
like pharmaceuticals or
there was some opportunities there. There was another insurance opportunity. There was another banker that was interested in hiring me. Yeah. And that would have been a weird dynamic. And so I just went and talked to Jason. I'm like, hey man, I got this guy that wants to hire me, and he's part of another bank, and he goes, if you're going to work for a bank, you're going to work for BOS.
Yeah, come under the umbrella.
And so it was kind of like, okay, well, kind of what are you going to do? And so he opened up his arms to me and welcomed me, and Tom Morantz, and had a conversation with Mike Pence, and they all thought, it would be great if this is what you want to do. You're sure you want to do this. You're sure you want to get out of it. And it wasn't like I wasn't making good living, doing what I was doing. I just couldn't afford to keep going at that pace.
Not sustainable,
It wasn't sustainable. So I joined the Bank of Springfield in October of 2017. And so McKenna, we're due our first pregnancy. Anna's due in December. She was supposed to be, I think it was December 27th or 28th is when she was due. And so I start working at the Bank of Springfield. I'm kind of just going through the manager trainee stuff, learning all the ropes of the bank and what we do at BOS.
Right.
And this whole time, I thought I could maybe still coach a little bit and help Coach Riggle out. And I went to a couple practices early on, and it just didn't feel the same. Yeah.
And kind of halfway in, halfway out.
Yeah, it was kind of like I got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I knew I wasn't going to be able to give the same level of energy and stuff that I was giving. Right. And so it ended up kind of being, in my mind, like it's all or nothing, and I just had to pull the plug. And I still felt bad about it, like, because I felt like I was kind of leaving Bull hanging, but he totally understood, and he would he would probably be mad if he heard
the
me
impact
say
that you've had on that program
Yeah.
is so priceless, and it's still going.
And there were kids out there that I wanted to still be around, but
Sure.
again, it was, if you're only there once in a while and you're trying to jump them or get on them,
It's not
or
the
teach them
same.
something,
Yeah, right.
how can you earn their respect when you're only there when you want to be
Well
or when
said.
you can be?
Yeah.
And so I just had to just kind of walk away,
Mhm.
and so joining the bank was the best decision ever. I love it. I absolutely love what I'm doing. 6 years now, going on 7. I'm in business development. I get to manage a lot of our large business relationships at the bank. And then people ask me what I do for the bank. I say, well, what do you need? So because I know enough to be dangerous with just about everything we do at the bank. And so if it's a mortgage or if it's just an account or online banking or business loans, you name it, I know enough to be dangerous, and I just kind of quarterback it to the right teammate of mine. So I work very closely with just about everybody in the bank, and I love it. I've got the autonomy to just go develop business and help our customers, and I'm growing in my knowledge of the bank, and Jason said it on his thing. It's the best team he's ever played for, and it truly is.
Speaking of teammates, is it cool seeing all your former teammates around there, like baseball players? You guys can feel the whole team.
It is. Cool. I'm very close. I'm very close with Jason. We talk every day. And he can vent to me if something's on his mind, and I can go to him if I really need something, and we can just help the bank be successful together. And he's been doing it for a long time, and obviously in a position where he's managing the bank, and him and Mike Pence and Tom Morantz, and I'm just ecstatic to be a part of it. And then Ryan Murphy and Frank Stefano, I'm with those guys every single day, and we go to lunch a lot, and we help each other's customers and quarterback accordingly. But
like Weaves out there, and Timmy Ballin Wallen, and like Frank Stefano, man.
Tim Wallen is in our group benefits area, and going to do some more business development stuff with me. And Weaver's always been a financial advisor and helps people on that.
Matthews out there.
Yeah, Murph Matthew. Yeah. So you can see the trend. Former athletes.
You guys had Chris Wright at one point.
Strong work ethic. Yeah, I see Chris regularly. Chris lives in my neighborhood.
Okay.
He's an insurance guy now too. So, but it's just great for my family.
Sure.
Kind of some normalcy, a normal job. I didn't know if I ever really wanted to put on a suit and tie.
Right. I wonder how that was going to go for you.
And Jason even asked me when I first got done playing. He goes, "What are you going to do?" And
you're going to be happy.
And I said, "Well, I'll figure it out." And I said, "I don't know if I really want to go put on a shirt and tie and any of that stuff." And he was like, "Yeah, you'll land somewhere." And he was always looking out after me, making sure that I was okay. I'm
going to be honest. The first time I saw you in a suit and tie and all that stuff, it was shocking. I'm so used to seeing you in like athletic shorts and trainers and just a t-shirt and like athletic gear.
Yeah. It was weird at first. There's a little dynamic, So Jason's been with the bank forever. So like most customers that have been with the bank for a long time know him.
Sure.
And they're starting to know me, but some of them still don't know me. And so we'll see each other and they think I'm Jason, and I might just say hi to them, but I don't like go out of my way to really introduce myself because I really don't know who they are. They're waving at me and I wave back at them. And so I've kind of gotten it was a little awkward, so I've kind of gotten better at just saying, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Justin, by the way, not Jason," just to make sure you understand. They're like, "Oh my God, I thought you were Jason." So I just don't want them to feel like I'm snubbing them.
Right. Yeah.
But like I said, it's been great. Great team to work for, and I look forward to another 20 plus years. Working for the BOS, and great career move for me. Very supportive of my family. Like I said, it's great for our family. And we'll see what the new year brings here. Yeah. So
I love it. Before we get into when we finish it out with baseball Q&A, I want to take a short break.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay, here we go. This is going to be our Q&A to kind of round things off here and finish it out. And this is really fun for me because we can – some questions can be kind of specific to Justin, but some can kind of be like the ones that we hear from everyone, like your favorite bat, your favorite movie, all these kind of things. And it just gives us kind of an idea of who JU is. So you ready to roll, buddy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool, man. First one, why was the Knoedler house so special? And I do. I think that the house was, you're growing up on State Street was so amazing. Your group of friends, Joe's group of friends, I was a part of them, and it was open door policy. It was just a great positive environment. You know, your mom and dad were amazing. And first of all, let me just say, Teresa and John did such an amazing job on both you, Jason, and Joe. I mean, 3 amazing sons. Just let's give it up for them. You had great parents.
I did. I mean, and I do. They were amazing, and they were just always so caring. We were disciplined, you know, and you know, there was just so much love. You know, we were not a wealthy family. You know, it was our wealth was in love and care and being together. And I think that just got expanded to the entire neighborhood and to whoever our friends were. Yeah. It was an open door, you know, and they welcomed everybody. And I always think, you know, I want to raise my family the same way. You know, if my kids are going to be hanging out with their friends, I'd rather them be doing it under our roof. You know, I mean, we can keep an eye on them. We know they're safe. And so my parents were always just like, look, you know, you guys can hang here. If you guys don't have anywhere else to go, you know, please stay here. We'd love to have you guys here.
The place
and
to
be. They would give up the living room and give up the kitchen or whatever.
They would
leave. They would, we'll just run a few errands. You guys can hang out. And,
that's totally true.
and it evolved. I mean, it was from just little kids, you know, run through the neighborhood that were running in and out. Yeah. And then, you know, as we got older and we were driving, everybody would just migrate back to our house. We'd all just drive back to our house and we'd hang out, you know, before practice, after practice, you know, video games, pizza nights.
Right. And it was close to Springfield High too, so it was just
and then even into college, you know, and we got it getting in pro ball, you know. Hey, everybody's in town, you know. People go grab a 6-pack and just come on over to the Knoedler's house, and we'd have 100%. Some beers and we'd hang out.
100%. That living room with the wraparound couch and
it was just so welcoming, and I said I would not change anything about much of my journey, but you know, my childhood was great. You know, that neighborhood was great.
Yeah, I was just what a special place.
And my parents are great. Here we are in my mom's basement, and I just love being in my mom's house. Yeah. Like, you know, I think everybody likes to go home. My wife loves to go to her home, and there's times where we'll go there just to visit, and we'll just say, oh, let's just spend the night. Like, and, you know, it's just so nice. Just so homey and loving, and it's just
it's a great way to
everybody who doesn't like to go home, you know. So
the Knoedler house was special.
But everybody, my mom always thought of everybody as just, you know, family, and so did my dad. Yeah. And so he just, come on in, you guys are family. So.
I can picture you walking in at night, never knocking, and your mom would be sitting there watching TV. A lot of times your dad would be asleep on the couch, you know, assed out towards you. Yeah. And then he'd be like, they would see that Joe's friends were starting to show up, and they'd be like, okay, we're going to go upstairs to give you guys the living room. Yep. Just, man, great people.
Yeah,
all right.
The best.
Most interesting pronunciation you ever heard of your last name?
Knoedler. Like, you know, people put other different letters in there. You know, Knoedler. You know, because they'd hear it right, but then they wouldn't hear the Knoedler. Mike Ramsey in Hagerstown, Maryland. He always called me Knoedler. As a matter of fact, I hit a game-winning hit one time, and
still messed it up.
They were interviewing him, and they were like, "Hey, so tell us about that last inning there." And he goes, "Bottom line, Knoedler came through." Everybody like, who the heck's he talking about? And so, it got butchered on a regular basis. Obviously, the radio announcers that really cared about their job and doing things properly would always ask, "Hey, how do you pronounce your last name?" Right. The big leagues always got it right. You know, the little time that I was actually in the game where they would announce my name, they got it right. So,
who's the best athlete in the family?
Best athlete in the family. Well, you know,
I look at that from a lot of different ways.
Yeah, you can. I think the most potential was Joe. I mean, I really do.
That's what I wanted you to say.
The guy is a beast. He's a freak. Yeah. He's got a lot of ability, and you know, he never took it to any particular level. But I mean, the guy looks at dumbbells and puts on 30 pounds of muscle. He could run back in the day. You know, he really could.
I think he ran a 4.7 or something, 40 in college at Quincy.
Fly, super strong. I mean, Joey's got some skills that just out of nowhere, like he'll just bust out, and you're just like that's.
His his favorite party trick is doing the splits.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
And
He still does.
do the splits and spin a basketball on his finger and roll it
Yeah.
up and down his arms.
Yeah.
And,
Wildly talented.
but he can play the guitar. I mean,
Yeah.
that takes coordination. So
He's a renaissance man.
there's just so much hidden talent there.
And he was so physically gifted in terms of strength. Like, I remember Jason's wedding and seeing you guys stand up there, and Joe's arms were bigger than everyone's head on the stage. I mean, he was probably 270, 280, 6'5". I mean, benching 400+ in college. I mean, probably, had he had a mean streak in him, could have played in the NFL or D1 or something. Like, really athletic.
Yeah, exactly. And, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Gentle giant.
Yeah, what if? But, yeah, I mean, I remember watching Joey play football, and when it was almost like you had to knock him on his ass like 10 times before he would actually, okay, I'm going to clean house now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
once you got him pissed off,
he could have definitely been something on the football field, like a defensive end or something, because he was so just physically strong. He was fast. He had some ability there for sure.
Absolutely. What's the best and then the worst baseball movie of all time?
Oh, best is Bull Durham. I mean, without a doubt, it's my favorite. It's so realistic to what minor league lifestyle is like.
Yeah.
There's obviously some other ones, but if you're just asking for the best one, worst one, it is I don't know, like Angels in the Outfield's kind of corny.
Yeah.
I really can't think of anyone that I hate. Rookie of the Year again, kind of corny compared to like For Love of the Game and Major League and
that's some of the classics.
Actually the other Major League 2 or was there 3?
Three got weird.
Yeah, there was one.
Back to the minors.
That's probably.
It was rough.
I'd actually say that.
It was rough.
Because Rookie of the Year was kind of cool
grab.
when we were kids. This little kid that breaks his arm and I was throwing 100 pitching for the Cubs. That was cool.
Who wouldn't want that?
But I would say the last Major League movie was kind of corny.
I'm with that. Favorite player growing up?
Andre Dawson.
The Hawk.
Yeah, it was. That's
again, cool. Then you got the experience,
dude. And that's what it was just crazy that I got to have him in my truck, riding shotgun, picking him up at his hotel. Got to ask him some questions. Yeah, definitely. I used to imitate his stance.
Cool guy.
Kind of quiet, but once you got him going, so we had a dinner the night before, and nobody was really kind of going up to him and talking to him, and he was signing autographs. He was great about signing stuff, but you really had to ask him some questions to get him going.
The Hawk.
The Hawk, man.
Never forget that stare down.
Hall of Famer, man.
Yeah, staring down that pitcher, man, the Hawk. If his knees hadn't been ruined, I mean, we could have seen so much more. I mean, he played his whole career on gimpy knees from Montreal.
He talked about that. He talked about it, and he said anything to get him out of Montreal is what he wanted. I mean, he would take a pay cut, which I think he did.
Yeah.
And he's had several surgeries. As a matter of fact, I think he said that both his knees have been operated on several times. He's going to have his hips operated on. He's
sure.
A lot of wear and tear, man.
Gave his body to the game.
Yeah.
Any player that you tried to emulate growing up?
Just him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said swing. Yeah. That was my next question.
I wasn't in love with catching until later. I just started throwing the gear on, and before you know it, that's what I loved to do. By the time I was in high school, and so Joe Girardi was one of the catchers that I liked because he was on the Cubs there for a little bit, and Jody Davis came in for that Legends game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess those would be the only ones. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you look up to anyone locally growing up?
Well, it's hard not to think about Jason Worth. I mean, and be envious of that. But again, I was so just kind of not focused on anything other than just loving to play the game. Yeah. So as far as looking up to anybody particularly, no, not really. Not from a baseball standpoint. I mean, I admired my dad and, always was, competing with my brother Jason. But as far as having like somebody like a hero or anything like that, outside my dad, I really didn't. So.
Number of choice.
8
number
for
8.
The Hawk, because the Hawk was number 8. Man, I wore 8 as much as I could. If 8 was taken, I would go 28 or 18 or something that had an 8 in it, because I was 28 at Lincoln Land, I believe, and then if I could get 8, I would take it. But.
Well, you got to catch Lincecum a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah.
I just
Well, by far the funnest, best pitcher I've ever caught.
Awesome.
I mean, so
cool.
He came to when I was in San Jose. He came at the end of the year there, and I think only threw like one start. And then the following spring training, he ended up in AAA, and I caught him like 5 starts in AAA. I think it was what it was, and so he mowed everybody.
God, his
I
stuff
mean, he
is
struck
so
out.
incredible.
I mean, if he threw 5 innings, because that's all he was going to throw, he struck out 12 to 15 of them. And I remember one game. I mean, it didn't matter what I put down. It was almost like we were just having fun. There was no setting up the hitters. Like, oh, let's strike him out with the changeup this time, just for the hell of it. It didn't matter. His stuff was so dirty, and there's a reason the best thing the Giants did with Lincecum is they didn't let him rot for a couple years in the minor leagues and waste bullets down in the minor leagues. They got him to the big leagues very fast.
Yeah.
Before you know it, did he get Rookie of the Year? But I know he won back-to-back Cy Youngs.
Man, just so dominant for the Flash.
Just fun to catch.
Tell me about that stuff though. Like, just
his fastball was quick. That extra gear on his fastball. Kind of like a max effort guy, if you can envision the way he kind of strode off the mound.
Yeah. Full effort.
And then he had this breaking ball that was kind of like a 12-6, and it was sharp. And then his changeup, and everything came out of the same arm action, same speed, and so it was unhittable.
That must have been so
It was
cool to
unhittable
catch,
for a long time.
Man.
And then the question with him, and like I said, the best thing the Giants did was not let him waste any stuff down in the minor leagues, because eventually he broke down.
Yeah,
because he wasn't a big guy.
Right.
He wasn't a big guy. And everybody's going to break down at some point, but
sure.
You like to think the bigger frame guys like your Clemens and your Schillings and Randy Johnsons, I mean, they could sustain it for a little bit longer.
You got to play with Cargo in the A's organization for a little bit?
Carlos Gonzalez?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tell me about that. I loved his swing.
He kind of kept to himself. He was a quiet guy. Good dude though. Not in like a cocky way, but I mean he did
tell something special.
He did have a
coming?
chip on his shoulder. I mean that kid could hit.
Boy,
and he could run.
What a pretty swing.
He was a 5-tool guy all the way, man, because he had a good arm and could run too. So.
What did you do? So you were obviously, big work ethic guy, workout guy. What were your in-season workouts? What'd they look like? How'd you maintain?
Just maintain, yeah. So Chad kind of helped us out with that, but more just keeping your flexibility. I did a lot of. I'd always do some type of a warm up, so foam rolling. Taking care of the soft tissue there, keeping the core strong. Kind of a bit lighter weight, so it wasn't like I was maxing out or anything like that. It was more just lighter weight, a few more repetitions, just kind of maintaining the strength that you had. But if I was catching 2 or 3 days in a row with a day off, my workouts were very minimal. Sure. They really were. Yeah. I always took care of myself after the game. Any therapy, iced the arm if I felt like I needed it. I would do ice baths. Mm-hmm. And then, maintaining, just good nutrition, to try to make sure my weight stayed up.
Right.
Eating plenty of calories because I know I was going to burn them.
Well said. You mentioned multiple times that you really didn't have to necessarily work for your arm. It was kind of given to you.
No,
you had it. So were you ever a long toss guy, or was that just not something that really
I played long toss with the pitchers as they warmed up, so if that was part of their warm up, then I was right there with them.
Right.
So my arm held up. It did. My arm usually held up. It would get sore, so you ice it a little bit and you take some Advil, but I'd be lying if I say I never had a sore arm. I mean, I had sore arm plenty of times, but that just comes with the job.
Coming up, was there anyone locally that you loved competing against?
Loved competing against. Loved to compete against Griffin. Yeah. I mean, that was our rivalry. Yeah. That back then, the city tournament was a big deal. And it meant something because Southeast was competitive, Lanphier was competitive, Griffin, was always competitive. So that was kind of cool to I look forward to that. The city tournament and trying to win that, and then the conference, obviously. But any one individual, no, not really, because we knew who O'Malley was, but it wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to compete against them. It was more the teams.
Too nice of a guy, yeah. Best video game, baseball video.
Yeah,
game.
you've asked us. Bases Loaded.
There it is.
It's only the one that I really remember in detail. The other video games, like we just weren't big video game junkies. Right. We'd play them here and there. We'd play Tiger Woods and if we were we'd Golden Tee when we were out at a bar or something. Sure. But Bases Loaded was the game that we all fell in love with just the regular Nintendo. But we may have gotten a Super Nintendo. We did, and then I don't think we got anything past the Super Nintendo until PlayStations came out. And then again, we just didn't play it very often.
Right.
Played Madden a little bit, but.
I know some of these answers, but I have to ask them. Bat of choice. Let's go wood first. Make and model.
I was a a bat junkie.
You
So,
were, man.
but my favorite one, if I had to pick one, was the C271,
Right,
34
so I
inch.
you.
But I experimented with. I still have some C243s.
The big barrel.
Because the
yeah.
C271s were the smaller, skinnier ones. But
That's
they're
the grippy model.
just the more balanced bat. You
Yeah.
know, the
Right.
C271 was a balanced bat. C243 had a much bigger head on it.
Big head.
Was definitely top heavy.
That's a slugger's bat.
And I had a 34 and a half.
I have one of those. Natural.
those things-
you gave it to me.
And that's what I hit the home run with in the Legends.
Was it really?
game. With the Legends.
I remember you
game.
brought those home. I was like, what are
Yeah.
you doing with a 34 and a half?
Oh,
dude?
well, there was a guy that I played with, Yamid Had, who swung a 36 R161.
Okay. yeah.
36, thick
Yeah.
handle, and he had hands that were twice the size of mine. And he could get it through the zone, man. I mean,
crazy?
and I remember having one. I think I ended up breaking it. I don't know what I did with it, but that thing was like a 2x4, man. It was crazy.
Even that 34 and a half C243 that you brought home, the natural finish, those felt huge.
Yeah, but they still felt that with the skinnier handle, I still felt like I had that. There was a little whip to
Yeah.
the swing when you swung through it. I just didn't. My hands aren't that big really, and so I like that thinner handle, that tapered.
And you were a
tapered knob.
Moda stick guy, weren't you? If I
Oh
remember
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Big on the Moda
yeah,
stick.
I love
remember,
the smell
we
of
used to get
pine
those
tar.
bats sticky, boy.
Oh yeah, give me the motor stick, and there was times where I had to like shake it off my hand just
Yeah,
to get it
couldn't
out.
drop it.
But
Couldn't release the top
I
end.
love the smell of pine tar, but it
Smells
just
good,
didn't. It really felt more slimy than sticky.
Yeah.
So
The
there's
Moda stick was money.
There's an act to the pine tar, I think, or a knack for getting it sticky. But tiger stick, Moda stick, whatever you call it.
Did you prefer natural finish versus black, or do you care?
The unfinished bat I thought looked pretty sweet.
Right? Isn't that so classic? It's my favorite.
I usually got 12 black C271s.
I've got a
with my
black
name on 'em.
one of yours, C271.
But I experimented with some other makes and models, like a BWP bat and some Rawlings. One year I had the Giants order me some Rawlings bats because somebody gave me one the year before and I did well with it, so I was like, oh, let's try this out.
And if I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes you and Jason would put like a small, like half-inch little piece of tape at the bottom of the knob to make it a 33 and a half sometimes a little bit, or something just to grab onto with your pinky.
Yep. Now, one thing that we did not do that a lot of people are doing now, they're getting the Gorilla grips and they're putting it on the wood bats.
On the wood bat, yeah.
Nobody ever did that.
Never. That was unheard of.
And so, was it not legal, or was it just something they didn't do?
think
Because that's kind of genius.
I think they've made the lizard skins so
Lizard
thin
skin,
that they're usable. But like back then, it was like tennis grip, which was like a half-inch thick. It would have made it ridiculous feeling.
Actually, yeah, I kind of like the feel because I've picked a couple up here and there.
I've never
Like
experienced it. It
Colt-
feels good.
Colt would have one, or Ryan Murphy's boy. And I'm like, man, that
Feels
kind
good.
of like that. Yeah.
Wouldn't have had to do so much Moda sticking.
Yeah, wouldn't have had to. Yeah.
Do you remember a metal bat that you liked?
Man, you know what? I don't remember all the bats that I use. You had the Easton Reflex and the Z-Core models. The bat that I thought was the most juice was one that Aper and Ingold and those guys were using at Lincoln Land. It was a Nike bat, like the white, all white Nike.
Like a Nike Arrow or something like
that. That thing had I would take batting practice every once in a while. I'm like, hey, toss me a few, and
this is weird.
hit a couple over the scoreboard, and I'm like, dude, this thing is juice. And they were always telling me that the bats that I had were juice, and I'm like, dude, this bat has got more pop in it than any bat that I ever used.
Okay.
But I don't really remember all the ones that we used, but wood bat. There's nothing better than a wood bat that's balanced, hitting it on the sweet spot.
100%. And let me say thank you for always keeping me in wood bats back in the day, dude. You always pass down the love. That's the reason
I got them. I was like, I'd bring home extra sets of catcher's gear, and I remember if I could, I get Mitch a set, and Anthony Enlow was a kid that was catching at SHG, and I gave him a brand new set of gear, and some of the colors, like with the A's, like nobody wanted green and gold,
right.
But if it was just black gear, or if it was something that I could give away,
universal.
Why not?
I already know this one too, man. Batting gloves of choice.
Well, I was a Mizuno guy.
Fresh Mizuno.
I was a Mizuno guy, so
man.
I just kind of migrated into that. That's what I've been using. That's what I like.
Yeah, those were so nice.
All leather.
They're
I didn't really
beautiful.
like that carbon fiber stuff because it would break down pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
The all leather batting gloves, that brand new sticky. Once they broke in for sweated through them a little bit, they were perfect.
Yeah.
Then every once in a while they get a little slimy, so you just gotta
These are the ones that Votto was trying to get from you?
Yeah. All
That's so funny.
all leather.
Hey, man, I love your batting glove.
Yeah.
Joey Votto's hitting you up for BGs.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I loved all the Mizuno. I loved all the Mizuno stuff.
Quality
And
stuff.
they actually make a really good wood bat, but they were hard to get,
Right.
you know, and then expensive too. So cleats, catcher's gear, you know, undergarments, stuff like that, sliding shorts and t-shirts.
Were you paid by them, or they just supplied you with stuff?
No, I mean I had a contract where they had to supply me, so I think I got like 3 gloves a year, new set of gear every month. You know, shoes would break down pretty quick, so you just basically say, "Hey, man, my shoes just broke down. I need another set of shoes. You know, I need new shoes." And they'd always send you a couple pairs out of the gate: turf shoes, batting gloves, wristbands.
Yeah.
If you made it to the big leagues, you know, you got like cash bonuses. So if you played 5 games in the big leagues, it was $500.
Oh,
you
cool.
get to 10, you get to 20 games. So you know they're paying you for that advertisement.
Yeah.
So. Cashed in maybe $1,000 incentive one time for just making it to the big league roster, you know.
Yeah.
So that was they would send you like a catalog where you could get Mizuno stuff.
I remember that stuff.
Or
you could get discounted other stuff too, though,
Bass
right?
Pro Shop,
Yeah.
Best Buy, yeah. So
man.
I would use that. I would use those funds. Actually, I think every year I got like 1,000 or 2,000 no matter what.
That's cool.
There was stuff on top of that. So Christmas gifts, that was cool to kind of use that stuff for
Yeah.
Christmas presents. And I got Mizuno golf clubs. I just actually upgraded my Mizuno clubs, and I bought a brand new set of Mizuno irons because that's what I'm used to. So stuck with the technology.
What's the best way, or how did you go about breaking in new gloves?
Sweat in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to watch Mike Matheny take a brand new, you know, Rawlings,
Would he dunk it?
rawhide. He'd put a baseball or something in it, wrap it, and dunk it, and then
Scary, right?
Let it dry out. And I just
couldn't do it.
I never had the guts to try
Right?
it.
It like you would ruin it.
Never had the guts to try it, but
People swear by it.
Mike says, I think Mike, you say like, no, he'll use it in the game tomorrow. Like once he does it, it's like game ready instantly.
Yeah.
But I always just thought the best way for me was to just put my hand in there, sweat in it. I'd go get a stool and get on the iron mic and just catch balls off the iron mic and just until it felt good.
What would you do when the leather started getting dry to preserve?
There was a spray that Mike Matheny turned me on called Lexol.
Yep.
It's just a leather conditioner.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would always just say, look, just take a wet rag and a little bit of just regular Barbacell shaving cream and just lather it up a little bit. He didn't want to put. I never wanted to put too much oil on it or anything because the glove would get heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, way down.
Yeah.
How long would a catcher's mitt last you?
Oh, I could get the whole year with the same mitt as long as I was taking care of it. You know, with
done after
just
that?
like everything else.
Yeah.
You know, you're always working in a couple gloves. So you've got your gamer, you've got your backup, and then you're working another one in whenever you have the chance to do it. So you've always got 3 gloves in the works.
That's cool.
But your gamer can last you a whole year, if not longer, as long as you're taking care of the strings and keeping those strings tightened. It's when they get loose and that ball comes in at 100 miles an hour and catches it. That's when it explodes.
I love it.
So
intro music.
Intro music.
Use?
So
Yeah.
Lincoln Land, it was Jump by Van Halen, and it worked. I had a lot of home runs with that song.
Jump by Van Halen.
It was.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
And then I think I took it into one of my pro careers, and then I was like, I don't think I'm going to stick with this anymore. And they ended up picking one for me that was Linkin Park and Jay-Z.
Oh, I remember that album.
Encore.
Oh, that album was phenomenal.
And it was like, you know.
Oh, that was a great song.
It's like, what the heck are you waiting for? And then it says, "Go get him, Jay." And then they would cut it off, and then so it was pretty cool. So I usually just stuck with that. If they asked me what I wanted, I said, "Oh yeah, Encore."
Love it. That's perfect. I already know the answer to this one. Best pick me up teammate. You know, teammate that pick you up.
Oh, Jason.
Come on, that's a dumb question.
Yeah, 100%. When it pro ball, Ortmeyer was the best at coming over and saying, "Hey man, great swing."
After a terrible swing.
No, I mean,
okay.
He was just, you know, you make an out, you know, and you hit, you line out or something. Yeah, man, great swing.
Keeping it positive.
Yeah, he was,
cool.
Orty was great in pro ball, but yeah, Jason was great, you know, even in a conversation, you know, like when he was going through his struggles, you know, we would just try to pick each other up. So, I mean, I wish Jason and I would have gotten the opportunity to play in pro ball at least just one game.
That'd be cool.
Same field at some point. That would have been cool.
That would have been special. Funniest teammate.
Funniest teammate. Well, we kind of hit on Darren McMahon's.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
gosh.
he was great.
That's the defense guy?
Yeah, he was the guy that came up with the defense, but he was always coming up with something. In college, it was Scotty Blackwell. I mean, the guy was a clown. He was our best pitcher, but he's also our team comedian and doing something. There was another guy named Albert Montez, and I could spend 3 hours just telling Albert Montez stories, but they're not they're not for the live air.
Appropriate for this.
No, but he was a funny dude, man. He was a sidearm pitcher out of El Paso, Texas, and he was one of those guys, man. Like, you just never knew what he was gonna do, what he was gonna say. So
most talented teammate.
Oh, most talented teammate. Well, you know,
we're talking just tools overall.
I mean, Barry Bonds.
Sure.
It's not even close.
Sure.
Yeah.
Smartest teammate.
Probably Barry Bonds again. I mean, had to be.
Most talented teammate that never got a shot in pro ball.
Oh boy. Well, if you're talking about high school stuff, I mean, it's like kind of like Randy Rice and Ryan Murphy and Lincoln Land. Randy had all the ability to go pro in probably all three sports.
Right.
But basketball was his worst in my opinion. I think it's the same in others. Ryan Murphy was a hell of a hitter, hell of a third baseman. Just didn't. There was something there that scouts didn't like to give him a shot. He probably could have gone and played some independent ball 100%. And trying to got picked up. But and then guys that I played with in pro ball that never got a chance at the big leagues, I would put Darren McMahon's up there because he was just such a good defender. He's a switch hitter. Mm-hmm. There was a guy that ended up getting called up, Mike Cervenak, but it was after like 10 years. The guy would hit like 25, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs every year.
Couldn't get a break.
He would go back to AA. and then finally, was it the Giants gave him just a couple weeks of call up, and then he ended up going to the Phillies and got some time with the Phillies. So I mean, that guy could hit.
Most fun year in baseball.
Most fun year. Well, 2000. I mean, that was just the best. I talked about that Northwest team. That was a blast year. When you're winning, you're having fun.
That's the truth.
And Sacramento year was fun. But, I can honestly say that there wasn't a year that I just absolutely hated. Even when I got released and I was with three teams, I still like to think I made the best of it.
Yeah,
it
sounds
sucked.
Like it.
You're getting fired again. Okay, I got fired again. But you just make the best of it and go with the flow.
3 favorite managers / coaches of all time.
Oh my gosh! In pro ball, I was with Shane Turner a lot. Shane was great. He really was. Favorite hitting coach was probably going back to FP Santangelo.
Oh, cool.
Favorite coach. I learned something. Claude. At Lincoln Land, man, that guy was great. Jamie Stash was cool. I could talk about all the coaches.
Cool. Yeah, I know.
Learned a ton from Steinwart in hindsight, so it's hard to
Yeah.
just say that my favorite because they were all just so impactful in some way or another.
Did you do anything fun with your signing bonus right away?
Signing bonus right away. Well, Jason and I were sharing that. We were sharing a Subaru Legacy, so we basically sold that. We split the money that it was worth. I went and bought
Eddie Bauer.
Went and bought the Eddie Bauer Explorer and a laptop.
Yeah.
And the rest kind of went into a Raymond James investment account at the time. And I sat on it, and
smart.
Basically made work with whatever, my first year in pro ball, I was making $850 a month. So
you guys lived at home with your parents for many seasons. You didn't
at least,
you didn't get out for a while.
At least 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And then stay with Bobby Knoll for a year or two.
Yeah, I
and
remember
then
that.
before you know it, I bought the duplex, and Ann and I were living together. But yeah, it was great to have that signing bonus to put away. And then obviously when I was in the big leagues, I was making quite some good money there. So I was pretty good at kind of just saving it away,
right.
And when we got married, I had nice money for a down payment for our new house, and I bought the ring and things like that. So it was nice to have that good start.
For sure.
Good start.
I know this is broad, but does anything jump out to you if I ask you, do you have any regrets in your career looking back?
You know what? I saw that question when you kind of gave them to me as a heads up, and I really don't, because, do I regret leaving the Giants organization? Well, I guess if you look at what kind of direction they went after I left, maybe it would have been advantageous for me to stay there. But then again, you never know. Like if I would have stayed, would have been a guy that they would have considered calling back up to the big leagues? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think about it, and then I just like, the hell with it.
Yeah. Fugazi.
So yeah, the hell with it.
Favorite field or stadiums to play at? Give me a couple.
Man, my first time at in San Francisco, which they've changed the name so many times now.
Yeah,
it was Pac Bell Park when I first went there. Then it went to SBC, and now it's Oracle, I think.
Yeah.
So that ballpark is awesome.
Yeah.
My other favorite in AAA was Oklahoma City, Bricktown. They play Oklahoma City. They play their big matchup. Oklahoma City will play each other there. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma will play there too. But just a great place to play.
Yeah.
Love Bricktown. Great city to kind of visit. Which ones did I else like? All the domes were cool. Bank One Ballpark, which I don't know what it is now in Arizona, for the Diamondbacks, was cool. Milwaukee was cool. Kind of liked them all. Philly was cool. I mean, the only ones I did not go to, I never got to go to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
I never got to go to Pittsburgh. And that's it. I think I got to all the other National League ballparks. And then obviously the American League ballparks I haven't. But playing at Wrigley Field was pretty dang cool. Since I grew up a Cub fan,
gosh.
I mean that was pretty. Taking batting practice and hitting some balls over the ivy was awesome.
Got to park a few?
Oh, batting practice. Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't get to play during the games very often, so I had to take advantage of getting my experience in batting practice. So, heck yeah, man, I was launching them.
What did you keep from your big league time? Like,
so I've got a jersey framed up. My dad helped me. Mom and Dad got me that, and I've got my first major league hit with the lineup card framed up. I've got all kinds of pennant flags from each team that I played for. Obviously hats. I've got tons of helmets and bats still. Still got some spikes and some catcher's gear. I still got a lot of crap down in that basement that, once I get my basement project done, I'm going to strategically use some of that stuff maybe just to showcase it.
Absolutely.
But then the rest of it, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I mean, I've gotten rid of a lot over the years.
Well, if you think about getting rid of some of it, you got my number.
Oh yeah. Definitely won't get rid of it, without letting some people take a look at it first. That's for sure. But
most memorable game you ever played in?
Man. Memorable game. So if I'm thinking about college, it's the championship game of that national title.
Sure.
That first game getting hit. Jason Worth running my hit down in right center field.
How dare he?
My first at bat. Yeah, obviously. And then my first hit. So they all kind of ring.
Most proud moment in the game, or sorry, what are you most proud of looking back on your career?
I'm most proud that I truly felt like I gave it my all every day. I really did. Gave it my all every single day. Obviously, I don't think I left anything out there. I left it all out there. And then the other thing was just being a good teammate. I think a lot of people would say like,
Everyone.
Justin was always a great teammate. Good friend. Always there for me, kind of thing. So, I'm proud of that.
I love that. Were you a pregame ritual or superstition guy in any way?
When things were going good, heck yeah. I would do the same routine on the on-deck circle.
Yep.
It got to the point, like when I was in Sacramento, if I, you go 3 for 4 that next day, you're doing the exact same thing. You're leaving you're leaving the house at the time you left at. There was a sub shop.
Baseball's fun.
There was a sub shop in Sacramento. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of it now. But it was unbelievable sub. It had like avocado and cream cheese and pastrami, and it was amazing. And I would eat that every day if I got a hit.
Perfect. As a catcher, I want to go over these. What was the nastiest slider that you? I'm gonna go through all of my fastball, slider, curve, split. That you can remember. Like, can you specifically remember like this guy had the dirtiest sinker or the dirtiest change or split?
Yeah,
you
you could throw Lincecum up there for just about all of them.
Okay.
There were guys that threw a couple notches higher than Lincecum.
Yeah.
There was a guy by the name of Eric Threets. He was left-handed. He was about 6'6", just a specimen. So just envision Joey, but this guy's left-handed and he's 0% body fat and lats on him that were like a jet engine, man. I mean, it was unbelievable. And he topped out at 104 and left-handed. And he's almost like he just was pushing the ball too. He didn't really have a whippy arm, so.
I felt like catching that.
And then I felt like a hockey goalie trying to catch it because he wasn't exactly refined on his control, but God help him when he did. He got to the big leagues for a little bit and then he ended up blowing out. But it was just absolutely dirty. From a slider standpoint, Matt Kinney, pitched in the big leagues for several years, up and down. He had a curveball that our strategy was we're gonna get ahead of you with the fastball and we're just gonna wipe you away with that slider, and so it was just like clockwork. He never shook me off because it was just like first pitch fastball away, and if we got it, slider done.
That's the plan.
I mean, it was just unbelievable. He'd strike out 8 to 12 guys a game, and got to catch him in Fresno quite a bit, and then he went to the big leagues up and down, and so that was my favorite. Matt Cain had a really good changeup. Yeah. It was almost too hard as he was working on it. So his fastball was 93 to 95, and his changeup would be like 89 or 90. And so getting it to slow down a little bit and kind of choking it down a little bit. But he had a really good one, as did Lincecum. Those are my two favorite changeups probably.
Yeah. What about a split or a sinker? Anybody?
Oh man, I don't know that splitties don't come to mind. That a guy that really had a really good one. I'm sure there were guys that had them, but I can't recall anybody that had a really good split. But sinker, Kirk Sarloos, and there was another guy, Kirk Sarloos. I don't know if you remember, but he was just a smaller guy, but pitched in the big leagues. He just had a really good sinker, and we would live off that thing. He would throw 95% sinkers.
Yeah.
So,
how hard would you say is catching on the body? Do you still feel it?
Yeah, people always ask me, "Oh, how are your knees? How are your knees?" I think the knees are holding up. It's like the ankles and the hips and the lower back. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure I've got some orthopedic issues in front of me. As I age, and I try to do the best I can with keeping my weight down now, and it doesn't get any easier. I'll tell you that.
You look great, man.
But so keeping my weight down so that I'm not putting extra weight on those joints. But I'm sure there's some stuff in my future that I'm going to have to address.
there's a toll to pay.
Yeah.
Most memorable bomb.
Most memorable bomb. Wow. Honestly, I don't remember a lot of them, but I do remember taking Ryan O'Malley deep.
Here we go.
In an inter squad game at Lincoln Land on the backfield, and it was a 3-0 pitch, I think, and I got the green light, and he just grooved it right down the middle, and I hit a home run. And it was with a wood bat too.
Yeah,
might have been with a bomb bat. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, we had bomb bats back in the day.
I never
forget that.
Never. I'll never forget that one. But definitely hit some home runs. But you know what? People ask me like, you remember facing so and so? Like my big league at bats, yes. But some of these, like I faced King Felix a ton.
Yeah.
In triple A there, probably 0 for 20 against that guy.
Wow.
And so, but I don't remember any specific stuff. So
you already answered this, but I'm just going to ask again because it's a cool question. But where you answered on your own. Where did you think that 2000 team could have stacked up against a D1 team? And you already answered it. For one game that you guys could have done it.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
or two.
We're not going to go into a 4-game series with a lot of D1 teams and come out winning 3 or 4 or sweeping. Yeah. One game. Home or away, doesn't matter. With Scotty Blackwell on the mound, even O'Malley, we got a chance to win that game.
Totally agree. Are you noticed around Springfield? Do you get stopped like, are you Jason or Justin Knoedler?
No. I mean, if people notice me, it's because they know me from the bank.
Yeah. Your name's well known around here.
Yeah. I mean, I can't go anywhere without seeing somebody I know. I think it annoys my wife sometimes. It annoys some of our friends. Like, man, you know everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just because. I'm approachable. Like I talk to people all the time.
Yeah.
Like and so, and obviously being in the banking in the business world, that's our job.
Yep.
So,
what do you miss most about the game?
Man, what I miss the most is the clubhouse, the camaraderie, the guys. That's always fun. But I have that at the bank too, So that's why I say it's kind of cool to have that locker room atmosphere with my coworkers at BOS. And then if there's something I truly miss is just catching.
Yeah.
Like,
sounds like you loved it.
Some people hate to catch. Like, I gotta catch bullpens. Like, I'll do it.
It was never drudgery for you.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
And now with the way these guys catch, with their knee on the ground,
it would
and
have been easier.
And their gloves moving all. And I've actually tried it, and it's not comfortable.
You don't like it?
To put my knee on the. Yeah. I could. There were times where I would just sit in the catcher squat because it was more comfortable than actually standing.
Really.
And you obviously can't sit there for too long, but it's just kind of comfortable and relaxing to kind of be on my heels, sitting back on my haunches a little bit. But I try to put that knee down, and like maybe it frees up my left arm to move a little bit and catch the ball. But I don't know. I still like the old school way better. I really do.
I love it. You could have dinner with any 3 former big leaguers, dead or alive. Who would it be?
Yeah, I had a tough one. I had a tough time with this one because I was never really starstruck with anybody. I mean, you like to think, okay, what was it back, in the early stages, with Babe Ruth and or even like Mickey Mantle and some of these guys, what they're thinking. But Yogi Berra, I put Yogi Berra up there because he was just kind of such an iconic guy with some of the stuff that he would say.
Yogiisms.
All the Yogiisms. So I'd put him on the list, but. I got to be around like some of the players today. Actually, Shohei Ohtani, man, that guy's a phenom, dude. This guy, and hopefully I don't know if he can speak enough English or not, but what he's doing to the game right now, it'd be kind of cool just to kind of pick his brain and experience a few minutes with him.
With the pitching thing, how much of you is there a piece of you in you that thinks, what if? What if I had kept pitching, or what if I had picked up pitching again at the end?
Man, actually, I did throw a couple bullpens there at the end, and the velo was not where it was.
Really?
No, my arm was tired. I mean, after 10 years, now I'm 30. I'm no longer 20, right? So that's a long time, and so maybe I could still touch 90, but. You've seen what's happened to velocity at the major league level, man. I mean, everybody was throwing 95 when I got drafted, and now everybody's throwing 100. And so it just keeps progressing. And so, what if? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Okay, what if I would have stuck with pitching? Yeah. What if I could have blown out my arm? I could have,
Yeah.
And one thing that was different. Is I did kind of progress to swinging that arm back and then bringing it to my ear to throw, like the Jason Motts and the Troy Percivals, the former catchers that
bring it to a comfortable position for you.
Kenley Jansen, he was a former catcher as well. But I do remember kind of getting out into an arm slot, like a 3/4 slot, and it hurt my arm. So I don't play that what if game too much, man. I really don't. Yeah.
I already asked you this, but we're gonna say it again. Is Claude Krasik indeed the Logger logo?
100%, Mr. Logger, 100%. And I will never not believe that. Never.
You can't not. Who went out of their way to be cool to you in the big leagues?
Wow. Yeah. So Yorvit Torrealba was the backup catcher when I first got called up, and he was cool. Kirk Reeder was cool because he was an Illinois guy, so he kind of just went out of his way and say, hey, hello. I remember my first big league my first big league camp. Dustin Moore was on the team, and I didn't know Dustin Moore came over from Colorado, and he came up and shook my hand and said, "Hey, man, congrats on being here and all this and that." And when I got sent down, he came over and he said, "Hey, man, good luck this season, man. I know you're heading out, but he goes, have a good year, man. Hope to see you later." And I did. We saw him in September. So, so guys like Mike Matheny was great. I remember Mike Matheny put a Bible in my locker. That was his way of just kind of welcoming me and wanted to let me know that if I needed anything in that regard.
That's cool.
So, little bits and pieces here and there.
Pimping home runs, yay or nay?
No, I don't like it at all. Not at all. I think if you hit a walk-off home run, and it's clearly out. I mean, you can get excited and jump around a little bit, but this bat flipping, doing somersaults in the batter's box,
it's a different game now.
It is, and it's just like doing on the NFL when you should be able to celebrate your touchdown in a respectful way. But every time the defense gets a turnover in the NFL, they always get together and they do like they're posing for the camera and stuff. So it's entertainment. So I can't say that I don't like it all the way, but you would never see me do it. Never.
Right.
You would never see me pimp a home run.
Thoughts on the Savannah Bananas?
I'm not a big fan either.
Neither am I.
Nah, I'm just not. And somebody, one of my wife's friends or one of our friends, she asked me, she goes, "Hey, we're going to try to get tickets to Savannah Bananas. Isn't that really cool?" And I'm like, no, I really don't like it. I said, because I like to go to the game and watch the game.
There's real beauty in the game.
I want to go to Busch Stadium and watch
it.
the Cardinals play whoever they're playing, and I'm gonna see what the catcher's calling and why and try to be in the game with them along the way, and all the dancing and stuff. I mean, it's entertainment.
It's too much.
But I don't really like it.
Sorry. I don't get it. I people ask me too because they know I'm a baseball guy. They're like, "Hey, do you think the Savannah Bananas are so cool?" And I hate to like burst the bubble. Like, no, I don't. No, I don't at all.
No, I'm a traditionalist. I like baseball the way it's supposed to be played. Yeah. I do like having in between inning entertainment and on-field promotions.
I'm for the minor league
stuff like that.
And stuff like
we used to have in Fresno our team that would come out and drag the infield real quick with their handheld drags. They would sometimes do like a dance and things like that. Well, it was all about that. It was funny. It kept the crowd. You have to entertain the crowd, and especially if the game's kind of slow, 1-0 game, not a lot of activity. Find a way to keep them excited.
What the Bananas are doing though is not baseball. I don't know what that is.
It's really not. I bet. They're making money, so it's a business.
Sure,
it's a business, so to each their own. More power to them. I
just do not want to watch.
You will not see me go out of my way to go to a game. I can tell you that.
Do you miss coaching? And then here's the second part. If you could make $100K plus as a coach here in town, would you leave BOS?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Do you miss coaching?
I miss some things, and I still can get my hand on coaching a little bit. I still get people that call and ask me for lessons and. You
ever do it?
And I will. Yeah, I still give a lesson now and again, and it's more for a coworker's kid or friend of the family's kid. Keeping my eye on Colton and CJ a little bit. And helping them out if needed. And so, do I miss it? Well, yeah, I miss game day. Game day is always fun, man. But it was a grind. I'm glad I did it for a long time, but. No, I love what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't. It would have to be an act of God to get me to leave BOS and I love my life right now, man. I mean,
that's beautiful.
I'm married with two great kids. I love my wife to death, and
in a lot of ways, baseball sets you up for all of that.
It did, and I will be coaching again someday. Hopefully. Well, I don't know what sport, but. Right. I have not coached a ton just yet. Yeah. McKenna, my daughter's 6, and she's done. We've done t-ball, 2 sessions of t-ball.
Yeah.
And I did coach that. She's doing basketball and she's doing soccer, and I've helped out when needed.
Yeah.
But those kids aren't quite ready for me, unfortunately, and it's not their fault. It's my fault that I've kind of only got one speed.
Yeah.
So when I do something, I'm going to do it. And right now, those kids don't have the attention span, and I just can't put up with that.
I hear you.
And it's just me being honest. With t-ball, I got through t-ball, and we'll see what the next step is for me when I start coaching. But I'll help out.
Love
we had basketball practice the other night with my daughter, and we went to Dr. Heron's gym, and. I got her to listen. I got my daughter to listen. I got one of the other kids to listen, but the other kids are just kind of off on their own, and it drives me crazy, man. And if I can't command their attention, then I can't coach them, and it's too hard.
I've got 2 questions left for you, and then we'll just kind of wrap it up. This is an interesting one. I'd love to get your perspective as someone that played the game, as a bright man. Thoughts on the evolution of the game? This drives me nuts when people say, "Oh, the game is just strikeouts and home runs today," and I just there's a reason that hitters are having to go for damage every time because
the defense is really good too.
Yeah, and the pitching has gotten so crazy, right? Yeah. And the analytics, and it's just if you're not going for damage, home runs or extra bases, it's no longer are they base to base hit and run, and at least at the big league level. Do you have any thoughts on just kind of the evolution of the game? And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's certainly kind of coming back a little bit with some of the stealing getting back.
And that's cool, right?
The
You
game.
did see some of that this year.
But yeah, it is different. You know, I for one don't mind the DH.
I'm a fan.
Watching the pitcher hit. Now that would have hurt me as a player probably, because I got the bats I did get were usually because I was coming in for the pitcher, or there was a double switch situation or something like that. But you know, the defensive players and pitching are so good that I think you have to go for the long ball. You have to try to drive the baseball. And
people don't understand that. They think they only care about home runs, but it's like statistically, analytically, you kind of have to.
Well, I think early in the count, but once you have 2 strikes, if you're not a big home run guy, then let's move the baseball.
Yeah,
because you got some guys that are hitting 40 home runs. Well, that's fine if they strike out 200 times, but if you're only hitting 15 home runs and you're still striking out 200 times,
not the same thing.
I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
So, I still love the game. Some of the rules, I'm not a big fan of the pitch clock.
Yeah.
I talked to some of the players today, like Mayton and some of those guys, and they said they like it. It just helps keep the game going, and there's not much dead time. But for me as a fan, I could care less. If the game goes 5 hours and I want to keep watching, I'm going to keep watching. You know, and so the three pitcher rule, or the 3 hitter rule, when you come in you got to face 3 hitters. I mean, there's some added strategy there. I mean, so you got to think about that. So the manager's got to do a little more strategy there. Adding the DH takes away the managers. They don't have to do as much.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Less.
You just put your lineup in there. If you want to pinch hit, you can pinch hit.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, with that, I mean, I'm always going to love the game of baseball. I'm always going to migrate to it and watch it. I mean,
especially
if they want to make some changes because they think it's going to help the game, then so be it. But I'll always have my opinion. So.
Do you ever have any baseball dreams?
Really don't. I really don't.
Okay.
I was talking to Bobby Knoll last night about this. We got together for dinner with the families, and he said he had a dream about Matt Scheffler, and he goes, "Yeah, I have a dream about Matt Scheffler like once a month." And I was like, "Oh, that's really nice, man." And Matt was a buddy that obviously that died of cancer a few years ago, and one of my all-time best friends, and miss him every day too.
Yeah.
But I just told him, I said, Bobby, I was like, I just don't really dream that much. I just don't. So
it's okay.
But, yeah.
Last question. Would you have what advice would you give to like a 10 or 12-year-old boy that was, similar to you, falling in love with the game and just wants to play it as long as they can? Anything?
Yeah. I mean, work hard, you just keep putting in the work. It's
that's what you did.
That's all I did. I mean, they need to watch the game too, though. I mean, one thing that I would complain about today's kids that and when I was even given lessons, I'd ask them, "Well, what's your favorite player?" "Well, I don't know." "Well, do you ever watch the game?" "No." I was like, "Well, I can teach you some mechanics here of your swing, and I can teach you how to set up as a catcher, but
you got to understand the subtleties.
You gotta watch the game, and when you watch the game, don't follow that ball where it's going. If you're a catcher, when that ball is hit, watch what the catcher does. Where does he go back up? Things like that. And so, if you have a true passion for it, go for it, man. I mean, I was not a 12-year-old kid that was like, I'm going to play in the big league someday. Right. I was just a kid that I love to play. Let's go play. I'm going to go play. Let's go. Until we can't see the ball, let's go play. And so, but this has been fun, man.
We're at the end.
I know it's been fun.
I don't want it to end. I want to keep going. Everything else.
It's kind of crazy, man. When you said you were going to do this, I remember you sending out a text. It was probably a couple of years ago.
I'm curious what you thought. Yeah.
You're like, hey, we're going to do this, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, it'd be kind of cool, but I just kind of blew it off, and I didn't think much of it. But then you started doing them. Then you started with Aper.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I'm going to listen to this because, obviously I know your journey and I know Aper's, and I was, part of Aper's journey. And I listened to it. I was like, man, this is really cool. It's really long, but it's really cool. And then you obviously did O'Malley, and you did Jason, and I've listened to every single one. Matter of fact, I listened to O'Malley's and Jason's twice.
Oh, cool.
In preparation for mine.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to make sure that I had all my ducks in a row, how some things went down.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to PJ's all the way
cool.
through. PJ's was great.
Was it? He was phenomenal.
And just the relationship that he had with his dad and stuff like
special.
that. I mean, it's hard not to laugh and get choked up on some of
that,
these
man.
things. I mean, it's cool. And I haven't gotten all the way through Bo Hart. I was listening to Bo Hart's actually. We were driving in the car, and I put my earphones in with Ann and the kids are in the back, and just try to find a way to do it. If not, I got to listen to Mickey Mouse and everything else. But
Oh, I know about that.
but I was listening to Bo Hart's, and he seemed like he was very appreciative of the opportunity to do it.
Has this been cool for you? Like,
Oh
going
my
back through
gosh,
some of this stuff.
I will be forever grateful for this because I know we can have it forever. It's being recorded, and
McKenna.
I've already listened to the first two parts.
Me
I mean,
too.
I listened to them
Yeah.
just because I want to see how do I sound. I sound like an
You
idiot.
sounded great, dude.
So,
You sounded better than I ever could.
I actually
imagine.
started laughing at my own stories because it just makes me go back and
Special.
But no, I welcome the opportunity to do it again on something else too, man. I mean,
Cool.
and so I've already shared it with some of my friends,
Awesome.
and hopefully they'll listen. But yeah, I already said the coolest thing about all this is that someday, don't know when it'll be, that McKenna and Brooks
will have
they
this.
ask, "Hey, Daddy, tell us about your career." I was like, "Well, I can tell you whatever you want, but if you have time, throw your headphones in and listen to
That's
this."
so
That's
special
just
to
kind of
me.
cool. So
I love that, and just thank you for sitting down and giving me some of your time. I'm a huge believer in time being precious, and just thank you again for all that you did for me. I truly think of you as a big brother, and you did such a huge impact on my life, and this was so fun doing this with you, and you were amazing with your stories and going back and your takes, and there's clues to why you're so successful and have done so well in life, and baseball has set you up and set your life up, and things are going well for you, and I couldn't be happier for you. And to take us out, we've got two clips.
okay.
Okay, we've got an Aper clip, and then we've got a Teresa clip. So I'm going to play Aper first, and then Teresa, and then I'm just going to cut it. So thank you guys for listening as well. This is the post-game spread where we go back and talk about people's careers and help them write the last chapter and close the book. So here we go. This is going to be Aper, and then Teresa K, Mamma Mia.
Justin is a guy to me, I don't care if he played 10,000 Major League games or 10 Major League games, like he is a big leaguer through and through.
Well said.
And just big league personality, big league human being, big league, build, stature, whatever you want to call it. I mean, he's just,
Okay, and then Teresa, and then here we go.
I am so proud of all of them.
Yeah, you should be.
They work hard. They have a wonderful work ethic, which I think they got that from their dad. They're good husbands. They're good fathers. And they're the best sons I could have ever asked for. I am so proud to be their mama that I couldn't ask for better kids.
Yeah. You did a great job. You obviously knocked it out of the park as a parent because you have three
they make sure
sons.
that they make sure I'm taken care of. That's for sure.